what is the true essence of black girl magic? Each week, I sit down for a deep and meaningful conversation with some of Africa's most inspiring women and hear their stories of love, loss, and second chances. My name is Dawn Faith. Join me on this journey of discovery.
Don't you ever give up, don't you ever give up. God hears the whisper of your heart.
Today on Deep and Meaningful, the classy, sassy, and brainy Bridget Masinga. She's an actress, television and radio personality, fashion model, and philanthropist. She was also runner-up of Miss South Africa in 2002. I sat down with this lovely woman at Walnut Grove, and over a cup of coffee, she shared candidly about her journey through divorce. We also talked about her upbringing and how it has shaped her into the person she is today. This is my deep and meaningful conversation with Bridget Masinga. The very, very, very first place I want to start with is, have you realized you're a woman? And when did you realize that you are a woman? And what does being a woman mean to you?
That's deep.
Deep and meaningful.
Right at the jump. Wow. You know, I think answering have you realized if one is a woman or not is almost the real life equivalent of social media asking you, when did you adult?
Yes,
you know,
I hear you.
Yeah, it's the equivalent thing.
Yeah.
And I think I'm probably still trying to get to grips with it.
Okay.
But I do feel in recent years, the last maybe 3 or 4 years, as I was kind of having conversations with myself towards divorce, getting myself sort of aligned with that concept and the idea and the seeking for what does happiness mean to me and how much of a price am I willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
And in this case, the price means, you know, getting divorced, walking away.
Yeah.
And I think when you start grappling with that kind of stuff, that's when I looked at myself in the mirror and I thought, phew, you're grown.
Yeah.
Like, this is grown woman stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never mind paying a bond and petrol and all that mundane stuff.
Wow.
It's the nitty-gritties of configuring your life emotionally from the inside out. Those gray areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's when it dawned on me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. You comfortable to talk about the divorce?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, let's.
It was my biggest lesson in life.
Good. How did you feel the moment you realized that this wasn't going to work out?
It was a process. You know, I think for the last couple of years of my marriage, we tried counseling, and, you know, we had regular sessions with our counselor who'd been there from day one. And I always say to people, I go, oh my gosh, it was like being in boot camp. You know, you watch those romantic movies and the couples go to boot camp and they do all kinds of exercises and then they come out stronger and you're like, yes. And we did that boot camp session as sort of the last kick of a dying horse. And I remember one day, we had a moment and we were at odds. And I remember sitting there going, no.
This is not it.
This is not it for me.
Okay.
I can't.
And how long were you married at the time?
6 years.
Wow.
Well, 7 if I include the lobola year that came before. Yeah. And I said at the time to myself, I was like, no. You can't be continuously feeling inadequate and not enough. Like, you are starting to not know yourself in this situation.
Okay.
And once I started having that conversation with myself, I went home for a little bit, and then I came back and I was like,
can't do it anymore.
I can't do it anymore. I really can't.
Yeah.
I've tried everything, and for me, the driving thing was, I remember many years back watching Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
And Dr. Phil said, you've got to earn your way out of marriage. And I didn't know then what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And I realized throughout the whole journey, I was like, oh, is this what he means? You got to put in the work
Yeah.
to earn that exit. So when you close the door,
You know you've done
you've done everything. Yeah.
Wow. I am 7 years married and 10-year relationship. That's a lot of time that you've invested of yourself into a relationship. A lot of time, a lot of your adulthood. I say a lot to people now. You know, my young adult into merging into womanhood has been spent with my husband. And I can only imagine then what kind of a loss that would be, and almost kind of a catch-22. Yeah. Because this is what you've known for a while. Yeah. Like, I just get scared even the whole idea of getting out and dating and, did you know what I mean?
I struggled.
Is there, like, did you ever fear life after divorce?
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
I struggled. My best friend and I, we dedicated, and it's so funny how the universe and God work. Yeah. Because she was in New York. She had uprooted and moved her life to New York for like 3 years. And suddenly she came home. Yeah. And she came home at that time when I needed her, and she was here for like 2 years. And almost every Sunday, we'd be rooftop somewhere dissecting life. Wow. And one of my big things I used to say to her, because I've also had this need growing up. Yeah. I've tried, not that I haven't made mistakes, but I've tried very hard to be the good girl and the good daughter and do things in order and, you know, in synchronicity, and everything had a time and a place, and, you know. And I remember saying to her repeatedly, going, Crazy, what's going to happen now? Yeah. We're two from here. I'm like the young 30-odd divorcee. No one's going to want me. Yeah. No guy's going to want to date you and take you to his mom and with pride and go, oh, she used to be married. Yeah. You know, so I had all those questions. Like,
and the pressure, I think, sometimes within our own black community, because we haven't really been exposed, in my view, to divorce. Yeah. And, you know, like, our folks just stayed. Yeah. Like, dude, they
endure.
They just stayed, and then only when we were a bit grown up, you like, you were staying in that, but staying is, you know what I mean? And people used to say, like, divorce is a white people thing, like they say cancer is a white people thing, and it's like, no, actually, no. You know what I mean? It's just the choices and the decisions that our moms decided to make for themselves. How did you then find life after divorce?
After divorce? Yeah. Well, here's the converse to your point before we even get to life after divorce. Then my therapist says to me, because my parents got divorced when I was like 2 or 3. So my therapist says to me, she's like, do you know that children of divorce often repeat the cycle? No. Yes. And even afterwards, she, you know, when I was now seeing her by myself and we were working through getting me stronger, and she goes, here's what I want you to constantly be conscious of moving forward into every relationship from henceforth. You need to know what your issues are so that whoever you get serious with next, you don't pull the plug by bringing that stuff. Because subconsciously the DNA of divorce is ingrained in your head. I was like, really? That's deep. Let me sit with this for a minute.
Did someone give me a drink?
You know what I mean? Because she goes, it seems like a hard decision for you, but it's something you grew up knowing. It was your norm. It's innate. So it's your go-to. So just be conscious of it. Okay. And I sat with that for a minute.
And that can work like for you and against you, because I know, so on the polar end, I'm an only child between my parents, and they never got married. And I know that I spent both my teenage years into young adulthood, now into womanhood, being like, I know what it's like being a result of a relationship that didn't work out. But I worked so hard to make sure that was never my story. And as great as that has been so far to not be my story, sometimes I push too far. Fearing, do you know what I mean? And so I suppose I'm trying to say I like hearing the person who wasn't consciously aware of the story that comes with you and the one who is, and trying to find that balance of, even when then you know the information, how do you still live in a space where the information doesn't constantly consume you, and then still end up messing ngoba now. You are just so determined to, you know, that's not going to be my story. That's not going to be my story.
Exactly.
Wow.
I know. Adulting.
No. No, they never told us
Who
yet.
tell you?
No.
Should come with a manual.
No, they were worried about us not being burnt by stove. This is the
Nah.
this is the stuff that they should have been talking about.
Yeah.
Wow.
I really do think it's so weird. I do what I do for a living, and it's taken me an entire lifetime to realize that I'm not the world's biggest communicator.
No.
I really am not. I seriously am not. I learned this now, growing up, in the last 2-3 years.
Wow.
I've had to learn that part of my contribution to any relationship dynamic is that I don't communicate. I speak on a lot of things. I have opinions on a lot of things, but I'm not communicating. You know, I think being on this journey of womanness, of womanhood, of redefining or vocalizing for yourself what that is. I think for me, it just means a renewed sense of knowing myself. I almost feel like it's a rebirth right now.
Wow.
I feel as if I missed stages. You know, like there was Bridget, the adolescent, who was conscious in her life and moving through it day to day. And then Bridget, the girl who got married and was
Turned into wife.
And almost, you know, like a surreal moment where you are on the outside looking in at your life. So, and only now I kind of feel like, oh, okay, I'm conscious in it. I'm in control of everything that I'm doing. And I'm awakened to it.
I hear you.
You know, as we try and figure out what this womanness means.
I like that. It's complex.
Yeah, I feel like I should have a far more profound answer.
No, but you know, the thing that I'm really learning, which affirms me so much, is your answer is very different. And I think that's good. So some of the ladies have spoken about when they entered into motherhood, the notion of looking after a child was then like, okay, and it was a bit tricky because some were like, put self aside because now there's someone else to look after. And that for them was womanhood, which I agree with. But then I'm also like, what do you mean put self aside? And the notion of putting self aside is what makes you a woman. You know, someone else that I heard on the show, their mum passing away after they'd already lost a dad 10 years later, and then going, okay, so it's just me.
Oh, wow.
You know, so there's no one who's going to ask me what kind of woman you want to be, you know. And so she says, you know, she had to make a conscious choice and be woke in herself. And go, okay, cool, I'm going into womanhood by myself. What kind of woman do I want to be, because I don't have mum to help me figure it out, you know, type of thing. And it's weird for me, it was at 35 after the loss of my child, when I was just like, exactly what you're saying, the loss of something made me stop and go, okay, like, you're not supposed to be picking a baby coffin at 32. Who does that? Do you know what I mean? So I like having and hearing different answers, because I think it goes to affirm me and hopefully others at home that it's actually different for each of us.
Everyone.
So the unique factor is that we all reach a point when we have to be conscious in our minds and then make the choice and decide what kind of woman we want to be.
So true.
Do you think I think it was 2002, ne? You 2002 Miss South Africa runner-up. I saw you. That Bridget and this Bridget now, in your own knowledge, what are the two significant differences between that young lady and the woman who sits here now?
I think I have a voice now.
Okay.
And, you know, I always say to people, when I have people on the show, and people go, you're so bubbly, and you're so talkative. And I learned through counseling and navigating, there was so much learning in divorce. And I learned that I spoke a lot. And I was loud a lot. But I didn't have a voice for a very long time, my entire adulthood. And that's the difference. I look at that girl in 2002 and, you know, she was confident and she was vocal and passionate. But she really wasn't owning and speaking her truth.
Okay, despite the fact that she was putting herself out there.
Out
Because
there.
you've got to have a lot of strength and courage
Yeah.
to have the guts to run for Miss South Africa.
Yeah, no, you
Okay.
really do. And,
Yeah.
you know, the confidence remains the same. The confidence has always been there.
Yeah.
The courage, so to speak, I guess, has always been there. But it's the gist and the stuff that matters in my soul.
Okay.
The vocalizing of your emotions
Yeah.
and the impact that things have on you
Yeah.
and owning that process and
Okay.
owning your feelings
I
and
hear you.
articulating your feelings, you know. And I think that's the biggest difference between me now at 36 and her at 21.
Okay.
I'm emotionally braver now than what I was back then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
naturally. Okay. Well, in that same light,
Mm.
what do you think is the lesson that's taken you the most to learn?
Ooh, Dawn, why are you so deep?
I know, because like we make the same mistakes, ne?
Yeah,
And we just repeat it and we repeat it and then we never
Yeah.
realize. And I think,
true.
I don't know, it just is.
I really do think, it's so weird, I do what I do for a living, and it's taken me an entire lifetime to realize that I'm not the world's biggest communicator.
No.
I really am not. I seriously am not. I learned this now, growing up, in the
Yeah.
last 2-3 years.
Wow.
I've had to learn that part of my contribution
Yeah.
to any relationship dynamic
Yeah.
is that I don't communicate.
Okay.
I speak on a
But-
lot of things.
but
I
you're
have
not really
opinions on a lot of things,
communicating.
but I'm not
Yeah.
communicating.
And what do you think is the difference between speaking and communicating?
Well, I think communicating is like you really get to the crux of you.
Yeah.
To that, it goes back to that thing when people say, if I ask you how are you,
Yeah.
don't just say I'm fine.
fine when you're not.
When you're not fine.
Okay. I hear you.
You know?
Mm.
So speak what it is you want to speak,
Yeah.
because you'll never get another moment to say that again, or the
Yeah.
person won't know how they've affected you, and then you walk around going, "Oh, Dawn injured me,"
'Cause
and
you
Dawn
spoke
has
and you
no
didn't
idea.
communicate.
Yeah,
I love that.
that's been the lesson. Is even in relationships, I need to muster up the courage. What do they say? Speak, child, even if your voice quivers and there's tears rolling down your eyes.
Speak anyway.
Speak anyway.
If you spent this much time
Mm.
in this season, if you've moved between teenage years and you're still figuring out who you are, then you found love, and then you shift roles before you've spent a lot of time in your own space as an independent woman. You move into being a wife, and then you almost kind of shift back, or it's not really back, into just being back on your own.
Yeah.
What has it taken for you to almost kind of self-discover? What was your process? I'm thinking, was there a particular strategy that you put in place? I know that you've
No.
mentioned counseling, for
Yeah.
example, as one.
Yeah, I think, after one was done with the counseling, because then it was a case of, okay, let's get over the hump.
Yeah.
So let's be okay, with the decision that you've made and how you move forward in that. Then for
Did
me,
you feel, sorry to cut you,
No,
did
no,
you
no.
feel, I've spoken to some people who say sometimes divorce, like, the thing they least expected from it is the grief.
I don't
did
think I
you
felt a
feel-
sense of grief.
There was no sense of loss.
No, I didn't feel a sense of loss because I really, I started interrogating why did I get married.
Okay.
And when I started, because then even the work that I was doing in counseling shifted. It
Okay.
shifted from trying to save a marriage to trying to exit a marriage to then saving you,
Okay.
So
Okay.
it went from 2 to 1,
Yeah.
one-on-one,
Great.
And so I never felt a sense of grief because I'd done all that work
Okay.
prior.
Okay.
So I'd arrived at the decision, already affirmed that it was the right,
right
thing.
decision,
And I
yeah.
felt that weight lifted,
Okay.
And it was just a case of, in terms of moving forward, there wasn't even a strategy.
Okay.
No, there wasn't a
Just up
strategy.
and go.
Yeah, it was just up and go. Let's just see what the universe has in store.
Lovely.
Let's, a lot of talk with the girlfriend.
Yeah.
A lot of talk with the besties.
Yeah.
But apart from 2-3 people who were part of the process,
Okay.
it was just, let's go. Let's figure it out. Let's start on a clean slate because we don't actually know who we are as a woman.
Okay.
And now here we
Let's just
are.
up there.
It's just there.
And figure it out, yeah.
33, 32.
Wow.
Let's figure it out. Let's see what we actually like by ourselves.
Man.
Let's have lots of late
Yeah.
nights and,
Yeah.
go
Like
to
this, don't
parties,
like that.
don't like this, don't like that,
Right.
date a little bit. See who,
Did people put pressure and expectations on what that life should have looked like and been like, and how you were supposed to behave.
You know what?
That.
I've been fortunate in. I've been fortunate in the sense that my circle is very close and very protective.
Okay.
And I'm also the kind of person who knows how to safeguard my internal process until I'm okay with it, until I know what that narrative is before I expel it out to people.
I like that.
So by the time everyone else gets to know what's going on,
they say whatever they say. When are you sure already
it
in
doesn't
yourself
matter.
because you're clear?
Exactly.
That's lovely.
And I have the kind of support around me where people go, oh, okay. I mean, I remember when I told my friends, like the greater group, and they're like, oh, okay, cool. Now what are we having for dinner tomorrow?
Let's go.
And I was like, okay, sure, you know.
Cool.
And that's just always been the conversation. And I think for me and for them, it's a case of now that we're here, you know, rules have changed, dating rules have changed. We've now just got to safeguard that you don't get hurt in this space.
Yeah, because it's very different now.
Oh,
then, it's very different now, isn't it? So maybe to conclude this bit, now that you've been there and you're here, two questions. One, do you still have a desire to marry at some point again?
Yes.
And when you do, what does Till Death Do Us Part now mean to you? With all of this information and the history and the reality of life.
I mean, definitely. I always say to people, I call myself love's mistress for a reason. I'm a true believer. I really am. Happily ever after and everything.
That's your story.
That is my story. I love it. When it comes to Till Death Do Us Part, I think what I've learned is, you know, life happens in the gray areas. And so often we think it's black and white, and it's really not. And even in relationships, you got to deal with individuals as and when they come to
your space.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that ability to grow and morph together, because really you guys are on two separate roads that are very parallel.
Yeah.
And you've segued into each other by way of loving each other, but it's your own individual journeys.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. So, and I think I try to be more conscious of my being and my stuff that I bring into the space.
Yeah.
And I try to take those lessons that I've learned through marriage and divorce and the self-discovery and everything, so that I am able to arrive as a fully conscious partner.
I like that.
But what I do know is nothing is guaranteed, and because life continuously changes, even I change. Things that I stood on very firmly
a few years
6 years ago, I don't stand that firmly on right now.
Well, the best teacher is life, isn't it?
Exactly. Exactly. So, you know, if we find that human that the universe brings, I don't know, Dawn, might be inviting you to a wedding one day. Because it really is hard. It's, there's so much to think about between social media and the DMs. And I want to do this again. I'm spent. I'm okay. The little bit that I dated is enough to have me thinking,
I'm not going back out there. The sea is too cold. Are you serious?
Now it's rough.
Just don't shallow like they used to, ne?
They just, the art of chivalry, it's gone.
Yeah. Some girls want to know, like, what's your strategy? Like, how are you putting yourself? Where can this human find you? And what is this human wearing? What is he putting out there?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I have a human now. And I love our energies together.
Nice.
And I love the honesty and the realness. It's just very authentic, you know. And I try not to think about what might happen 10 years from now.
You live now.
I live now.
Nice.
I hope that in 10 years from now,
it's
still the same human. Because it really is hard. It's, there's so much to think about between social media and the DMs. And I want to do this again. I'm spent. I'm okay. The little bit that I dated is enough to have me thinking,
I'm not going back out there. The sea is too cold. Are you serious?
Now it's rough.
Just don't shallow like they used to, ne?
They just, The
It's
art of
lovely.
chivalry, it's gone.
Yeah.
Guys don't just come up to you and go,
And
hi,
just really-
Dawn, can we have tea?
I like you.
I like you. I'd like to get
Yeah.
to know you a little
Let's
bit
not play
better.
these games.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What you doing tomorrow?
Because also, I don't want to meet your representative.
Way.
I really don't.
Yeah.
That's exhausting. Now I've got to spend 3 weeks with your
Just with that person
representative.
before where now you show up.
Hi, man.
Yeah.
Country, where are we?
Just, yeah.
No. If
Wow.
this doesn't work out, I'll move on to something else.
Wow. Okay. Let's make it light a little bit, just for 2 seconds, and then we'll get back to being deep and meaningful. Complete this sentence for me.
Okay.
If I had 1 billion rand, the first thing I'd buy would be...
Oh, wow. If I had 1 billion rand, first thing I'm buying is a round ticket. Round ticket around the world, baby.
Nice.
What was that movie? 80 Days Around the World? What
Yes,
is that?
yes.
Yeah, that'd be me.
Nice. And
Yeah.
who's coming with you? The human and...
I'm always at a toss-up. The human and my bestie.
Well, you got 1 billion, so maybe the bestie and she can bring
Yeah.
her human if
We'll
there's
have
a
to
human.
make a list of countries, perhaps, and
Yeah.
then we can do a 50-50
Split it out.
split.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm most happy when...
Wow. I'm actually most happiest and most content at home on a couch,
Yeah.
my pajamas,
Nice.
with my human.
Yeah, and just relax.
Yeah.
Okay. And what would you say is your superpower?
Isn't being like woman just a superpower on its own?
I like that. Yeah?
Yeah, I feel like we don't have to pinpoint a particular one when you're
Yeah.
a woman.
All right, that's cool. What do you love most about yourself?
In these years, I'm loving my ability to compartmentalize personalities.
Say that in another way.
It's easy to throw away people based on a singular action. It's easy to go, oh, this person is horrid.
yeah.
Yes, because they did X, Y, and Z, and it injured me this way. But now, I'm like, no, wait. Let me compartmentalize. Okay, so the action was horrid. I
But the
didn't like that.
person-
But intrinsically, the person is still decent and good.
That challenges me.
Really? I mean, there is, there's slippery slope of
So would you
betrayal
keep the person
and...
still in your space?
But it also depends on the injury.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm not willing to throw away good people anymore because someone...
disagree or-
we disagreed, or there was, you made a mistake,
Yeah.
or I feel hurt in some type of way. I
Okay.
feel as though we can still sit and have a dialogue and find our way forward. Or I function from the premise of knowing exactly who you are
Okay.
via whatever it is that you did. Then I'm like, okay, maybe let me reevaluate our
Maybe the place
standing at
the position I'd
Yeah.
placed you in. I need to pull you back a bit, but you
Exactly.
stay here. That challenges me because I'm in a situation. I'm dealing with a situation at the moment where I'm a giver
Yes.
by nature,
Yeah.
and I go far and beyond.
Mm.
And I think I've been blessed for the most part to really have not been needy. My neediness comes in big chunks. So if someone's died,
Yeah.
I need you.
Yeah.
Or, do you know what I mean? And I'm less needy in the smallinyana
Yeah.
thing. And so I spend most of my time in my friendships. I feel constantly being there for my girls. And, the particular incident has then taken place, which has made me reevaluate things that matter to me. And it's really hard because at almost 36,
Yeah.
like you can't be starting to make new friends because you need friends with history, ne?
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
I say this to people all the time. I'm like, it's not that I don't love you.
Yeah.
I love your energy.
Yeah.
It was lovely meeting you.
Yeah.
But I've reached my friend quota.
Yeah. And so the challenge when you say that for me is then in realizing that, okay, if I let this go, then two.
Yes. Yeah, well.
And then where to? But the trick is, I think what you were talking about earlier, like in myself, knowing what I deserve. And I don't think I ask for much.
No. It doesn't sound like
I don't think I ask for much in relationships. But when I need you, I need you to be present. Yeah. So your response just made me go because it was a bit tricky. Was your dad present in your life growing up?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Child of very early divorce.
Okay.
And it was those situations where, the mom puts you in the car and carts you to your dad on the weekends and you spend time with the dad's
And then you
family
come
and
home
then you come
afterwards.
home. And I don't even know when I made that choice consciously. But somewhere when I was a teen, probably senior high school,
Yeah.
I just stopped going.
Okay. Do you think who you are as a woman, you would be a different person had your dad? I'm very intrigued and interested in the the challenges most black women face. And the stats prove that for most black women, both locally and overseas, some of us have actually grown without our fathers, and so we continue to have challenging issues around the absent father, and stats show and indicate that kids who grow up with both parents at home, for better or worse, turn out to be better off than those that aren't. So would you say that in your life, who you are now would be slightly different had your dad remained constant and been in the space?
I don't even know. Like, it's one of those, the concept of a present dad is so foreign to me that I don't even know what that life might look like.
You don't have fantasies about it?
No, because it's something that I've never known. And,
did you ever wish for it?
No. Because also, my thing is, I always feel like sometimes when one speaks about absentee dad, I almost want to defend my dad a little bit because I feel, okay, it's not that he was completely absent.
Yeah.
He just
didn't play the typical role.
He didn't play the typical role, and he wasn't, from my perspective, I mean, he has his own story to tell. I wouldn't necessarily say he was proactive in our relationship.
Okay.
But because my mom facilitated it, especially in those earlier years, so he was there, but he was not there.
Yeah.
So he's never been my go-to guy for things that matter.
Okay.
He's not my first point of contact for emotional conversations. He's not, I feel bad even sometimes that I would take days to return my dad's call. Whereas my mom, I would jump instantly. Because for me, it's like, you're there, but you're not there. So I've never...
So what do you think, because you can't, did you accept it from the get-go, that this is the way it is, and that ability to accept it has meant that it doesn't impact you?
Yeah, it really doesn't. And I just think sometimes we derive at decisions at kids without even knowing the process of getting to them. But you just consciously accept that this is your life. And so you don't long for things that you don't know. So I don't know what kind of woman I would have been because I don't know,
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Like, I love how simple it is, It's a tough thing to say because, some have different stories. But I also love the simplicity in, well, this was the way. It's a fact, and I can't change it. So why would I spend time daydreaming about something that's going to probably end up making me miserable, wishing and longing for something I know most likely I'm never going to have.
Exactly.
That's how you avoid having daddy issues, isn't it?
Yeah. That whole hashtag stay woke.
Yeah.
We are going to be woke to who we are.
Great.
We're not going to cower and back down and hold our tongues, and we're going to keep pushing. And it's either you deal with me being smart and assertive and articulate in who I am and what I want and my dreams and how much I'm willing to fight and pay for it, or you walk away.
There's no other option.
There's no other option.
I like that. What do you appreciate most about your mother in the way she mothered you?
You know what? My mom didn't have the easiest of times being a single mom. And I always say she never gave up. Like, my mom's a fighter, and that's where we go about it differently. But that's where I get it from. Whether I look at my mother, her older sister, my aunt, my grandmother, who was a domestic worker, abandoned by her husband in KZN with 3 kids. I come from women who they fighters, man.
Nice.
In every sense of the word, they are fighters, And I don't take anything from their experiences for granted. And I think that's always been my thing with my mom, is she really gave me that spirit to just never give up.
I like that.
Sometimes it's a bit, because, independence plays itself out in interesting dynamics and ways. It really does.
Definitely.
And you got to curb it at times. Because you're like, ish.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm being too independent at this particular
At this point, yeah. When
You know?
do I stop fighting and just let things
and
be?
just let it be. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
pretty cool. That's very cool. Where does your sense of self come from? Like how do you? Yeah.
It's always been easier for me to say the things I'm not than the things that I am. I think that list is shorter and more concrete.
Okay.
And so from that, I'm able to go, oh, wait, okay, the sense of self, because I know what I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm able to then start building on everything else because we continuously morph and change.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, I also live in my own internal space
Okay.
a lot.
Okay.
And I'm very guarded about Bridget,
That's great.
you know.
Yeah.
So not a lot of people can tell me who I am
Okay.
because I'm very clear
About
it.
That's precious.
From the
yeah?
perspective of what I'm not, which is,
I like that. So working it out the other way. This is what I'm not.
yeah.
That's lovely. How would you describe, if one exists, your relationship with God?
Oh, wowzer. So I say to people all the time, I'm not the most religious person in the sense that I need to be in a structured assembly with like-minded people doing the same thing.
Yes.
Spirituality is a good thing for a lot of people to have.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people are not honest with themselves because I think we equate it so much with religion. And those
they're
are
two separate things.
Two separate things, you know what I mean? So for me, you know, I often say to people, I church with myself.
Okay.
And I, you know, talk and converse with my God in my way. So don't prescribe for me what it should look like. I know what it is. So I function from that, and I know full well that the universe and our energies are aligned. And sometimes I even forget just how aligned things are. Because, you know, things must happen now.
Yeah.
My time, I have these plans, blah, blah, blah. Why?
Now.
Why not now?
Yeah.
You know? And I get really frustrated. And this year, more than any year, has been the most texting for me, spirituality-wise. This year has really taken me to the brink and then some.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
But then in the quieter moments, when you sort of let yourself go through all the emotions, you go back to the essence of yourself and you go, actually, what I've noticed if I'm looking back at how my life moves within the context of the universe, whether I like it or not, things fall into place at some point. And maybe the narrative is different from how I wanted it to be. So maybe I need to conscientize myself to a different way, you know. I have a brother who's a spiritual speaker, and he always says to me, sometimes you see, you got to change your question. Right? Yeah.
Right?
So, so I'm spiritual.
No.
I'm just not religious.
No, I feel you. When your season comes to have children and you get blessed with a daughter.
Oh, from your ears. And I love that you said daughter. Oh, from your ears.
And we receive. And you are blessed with a daughter. What is the one thing you would really want her to know about being black and female?
It's hard.
You made me laugh way too many. It's hard.
It's hard. It really is hard. You think it'll be easy. Hey, we live in South Africa, on the African continent. These things should be easy.
Yeah.
But it's hard.
Okay.
You know, I look at the spaces that I function in from a professional perspective.
Yeah.
And I think, yes, I've been fortunate. Yes, I've been charmed, a word that my bestie uses to describe my life all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, it's charmed, but
still,
still, nothing comes easy.
Amen.
Everything is hard work. And we don't mind rolling up our sleeves, literally, figuratively, however, you know, metaphorically, and getting down with it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just want to go, this shouldn't be this difficult.
Right?
It really just shouldn't.
Right?
But it is.
When is it going to budge?
Yeah, it is. And even, you know, I heard someone talk the other day, I can't remember who it was, and they were having an interview and they were talking about how nothing has ever come easy in their career,
Yeah.
as opposed to other kids.
Yeah.
And I was driving in the car and I was thinking, well, maybe we think it's easy for those other kids, but we don't know the price they're paying for the things that, are coming to fruition. We have no concept.
Yeah,
no
we don't know their
understanding.
story and
we
their
don't
journey.
know their story.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'd want her to constantly be conscious of the fact that she is black
Yeah.
in a world that still continues to tell her that black is not enough,
Wow.
that black is not beautiful, that black is not smart,
Yeah.
that black is not deserving of life's abundance,
Yeah.
And in a world that equally tells a black female that, oh wait, so you black, but then you female, which
Yeah.
means you are subpar. Pick your struggle,
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Is it female or the black?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to get easier anytime soon.
How come? Why would you say that?
Because the world is not willing to arrive at the conversation. Like, the world is not willing to honestly have an introspection of their own internal dialogue and how that plays out in the greater context and what that means in the narrative of our blackness.
Okay.
And so I find that black people are constantly having to adjust and navigate
And nobody
be
else is.
accommodating
Yeah.
and arrive at the party,
Okay.
and then we're standing there with our corsage and our dresses, and no one else is on the dance floor.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
So it's a long way to go. What I do love,
Yeah.
and this is something I picked up this last season of being on the road with Miss SA, is a lot of the millennials, the term that is still so interesting to define, but a lot of the young millennial women give me hope in that, yes, the world is what it is, but even within those boundaries and those confines, we are going to push.
Yeah.
That whole hashtag stay woke,
Yeah. Yeah.
we are going to be woke to who we are.
Great.
We're not going to cower and back down
We'll
and
keep
hold our
pushing.
tongues, and we're going to keep pushing.
Yeah.
And it's either you deal with me being smart and
Yeah.
assertive and articulate in who I am and what I want and my dreams and how much I'm willing to fight and
it.
pay for it,
Yeah.
or you walk away.
There's no other option.
There's no other option.
I like that. What would be the difference if the child was a boy? How would you raise a young black boy into discovering their manhood and what it means to be a young black man?
I had to accept that concept
Yeah.
of having a boy child.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I always wanted a girl child.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, maybe I need to be comfortable with the
Just-
concept of having
just
a boy
in
child.
case.
Because I started having, different dialogues
Yeah.
with the universe. I was like, universe, you keep doing things and
Yeah.
throwing me curveballs
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah. This
So
is
maybe
not what
I
we
need
agreed.
to not
Yeah.
be specific.
Yeah, yeah.
I need to just say, give me a healthy, beautiful
Baby. Yeah.
Period. Like,
Yeah.
oh, baby.
But if it could be a girl.
But if it's a girl, it's okay.
Yeah. But I'm cool with boys.
But
too.
I'm cool with
a
the boy.
girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think if it was a boy, through my show and the conversations I now have with women, and it doesn't matter what woman in what creative arts, cultural field she's in, most of the time the underlying thread, and I think even we had this conversation, was how as women we arrive at a point of being sympathetic or empathetic rather to males.
Okay.
So before we even judge and call them hashtag men are trash,
Yeah.
let's maybe try to understand the journey of this
Black man.
new black
Yeah.
man and
Yeah.
how he arrives at certain things.
Yeah.
We can then figure out, okay, how do we sort of navigate the spaces and how do we help facilitate
Yeah.
their health,
Okay.
mental, emotional, etc.
Yeah.
So if I had a boy, I think I'd conscientize him to that, to his feelings. I'd conscientize him to what it means to be a good man,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a good man, it's not necessarily about the material.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about how you provide and protect and profess your love.
Yeah.
Those are great and we're not taking away from them.
Yeah.
But
there's
there's more to it.
Yeah.
There's, are you able to father your kids in the essence, or is it be a
Yeah.
dad because
Yeah.
everyone can father?
Transition.
Like, are you
Yeah.
able to just be there?
That's
Be
great.
present.
Yeah.
Figure out the things that lacked for you from your parents
Yeah.
and your heritage, and how do you then give those things to
Take it to another level.
another level? Yeah,
That's beautiful.
yeah. And then I'd have to learn how to play soccer.
And like all boy stuff, because there's a lot of work, ne?
Yeah,
No,
I've
I have an almost 3-year-old.
heard.
No, that child's gonna drive me to drinking. He's just like, Mama, now. You know?
He's cute though.
No, but he, like, say he's cute. Like, he remains cute to you when you are with him 24 hours a day, and he's jumping on this, and then he's about to pull here, and then this is what you want. After a while, the cuteness runs out. But I think, but yeah, I do love him. But I know that boys are a lot of work. Okay, my guys are like literally losing their hands with like signs.
Really?
With signs and
Are we talking
image.
too much?
So yes. So we will end it here. Thank you so much. I appreciate your honesty.
Aww.
Yeah, and the realness you brought into our conversation. I definitely have learned so much. I think I'm going to replay a few things for myself. There are a couple of things that I was like, oh, that's fresh.
Thank you.
But I think the biggest thing for me was being able to show and tell a story of a woman who wasn't afraid to go after what they want, even if there's some ramifications and there's a cost, whether, you know, in your case it's the divorce, but who you are and the essence of why you're here matters more than the other, you know, surrounding things, because if you can be all right, then everything else works according to order. So so I'm really, really grateful and thankful that you have been able to share and have a deep and meaningful conversation with me.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Love and light to you.
Bridget, if you don't already know this, you are a remarkable woman, and it was my greatest privilege to spend some time with you. Thank you for not being afraid or ashamed to be wholly you. That's all for today, folks. Remember, no matter what challenges you may be facing right now, you are never defined by your circumstances. I'll see you all at the same place and same time next week. Stay blessed.